Hey guys, Joseph James here with your market prep. Let's look at tomorrow, Thursday, September 24th. Of course, I want to remind you guys of our room schedule here. Tuesday through Friday, of course, European session opens up at 2:45 a.m. Eastern Time, so be here. If you want to the European session, 2:45 a.m. Eastern Time, we open up. U.S. session, if you guys want to the U.S. session, come join us at 7:45 a.m. Eastern Time. We start, and we'll close the room up at about 12:30 Eastern Time tomorrow. Don't forget, guys, Tuesday and Thursdays, 11:30 a.m., we have free webinars. Everything from reading the tape to the Discipline Cycle Workshop, Market Profile, the 8 phases. Guys, we do those on free in our trade room Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And if you're joining us tomorrow for the first time, guys, check out the beginner's course. That's going to be your a good firm footprint to build on while you guys learn our methodology in our free 3-week trial. All right, now let's look at our news events for tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, Thursday, 24th. Of course, tomorrow, Thursday morning, we got jobless claims, 9:30 U.S. Open, 8:30 jobless claims, 9:30 U.S. Open, 10 o'clock. We've got existing home sales. 10:30, got that nat gas inventory number, of course. That's going to be an important one. We have a treasury sale at 1 o'clock. That should be a sleeper. But basically tomorrow, we should start seeing the announcements start to trickle in from this G20 meeting. It begins tomorrow officially in Pittsburgh. And that's kind of in combination with FOMC, which, of course, was Wednesday. The G20 meeting, of course, has been one of the things that's been on the minds of traders in the market. So we're hoping that with that kicking off, we'll start getting some of that news that everyone's been waiting for so much. With the FOMC now behind us, hopefully we'll see some volume come back into the market tomorrow. So quite a busy morning here after the U.S. Open. As you guys know, we open up the room at 2:45. We'll check our European news at that time. So come out and join us. Let's look at the markets, guys, for tomorrow. On the Russell, E-mini Russell TF, symbol 1209. As you guys notice here, we've got a wedge pattern to the upside here. Ideally, we want to stay away from the fringes here. So our best opportunities tomorrow are going to be wait for price to break above this 24.2. Okay, so if I can get above this 24.2, that'll get me above the highs, clear that trend line there, and then of course we'll look for some trend continuation patterns such as wave patterns and breaker patterns to kind of grab that thing as it works across its highs. Now we can still play inside this bracket, obviously. In fact, we can go 23 all the way down here to about 17, 18 before we start running into it. Remember, keep clear of the extremes, so keep clear around these trend lines. Don't worry about trading inside the trend line so much because we're not dealing with quite as much of a choppy sideways market right now. But make sure you guys stay away from the fringes. So, 23.7 up here all the way down to, give or take 17.5, 18.5. So that area there right in the center, that you can obviously feel free to trade there. And we're going to wait for price to break below that 607.9. So get it below this choppy area here, 610 down to 608. And of course, we can get below that, frees up a lot of space there, as you guys can see. And again, looking for some trend continuation patterns if we begin to sell off tomorrow here in the Russell. All right, there's your levels in the Russell. Let's keep moving. The S&P here, we've got another E-mini. Very much the same situation here, guys. We've got an upward trending channel, as you guys can see. Get this wedge formation here. You can see the trend lines. Now, ideally, if the market comes up to the upside, we want to get above this 77 even level here. That will free up some free space to the upside. Be careful, though, because you're going to run into that trend line here. This trend line above 75.75 is a pretty broad trend line. Okay, so be careful about that. That will cause overhead resistance. So we've got just a small area there, 75, 77, all right, up there to about 80, 82, 83, depending on when it breaks through. If it breaks through late in the day tomorrow, then we may have more room than what we think right now. But as of right now, watch out for that trend line here. As you can see up here around 1085 here on the S&P. That will provide some resistance tomorrow. But of course, inside this bracket though, or inside this wedge pattern, definitely feel free to grab some trades that they set up here. 72.5, pretty much down here to 65 even. You've got that spot here right in the center. Definitely want to be careful, but as long as you stay away from the fringes, stay away from the edges there, you guys should be fine. That is the trend line. Stay away from those trend lines. Now, if we break below, if we begin to sell this thing off, below 55, as you guys can see, we got a little bit of a choppy area there. 55 down to 52, 51.5. If we can break below that 51.5, that will get us below the last couple days low. Then we start seeing some free there, some free falling space there. Again, look for some breaker shorts, some wave shorts, potentially some two-step long patterns there if it bounces back up. All right, there's your price levels there on the S&P. Let's keep moving. On the crude. Now, the crude market, very quiet today. Very quiet today in the crude. As you can see, we had quite a big sell-off here this morning, all the way down from 72, just about at the 68 level here right now. So about a $4 drop here on the crude. Now, on the crude here, we've got a little bit of a story. We have a little bit of a chop zone here in the crude. So we haven't seen this yet today from the other markets, but this on the crude, as you guys can see, got a pretty decent chop zone here from 68.5 down here to 68 even. So this first 50 cents above $68 a barrel here, going to be a pretty choppy area. So ideally, I want to see us get above 68.5 or get below the 68 even. If we can get either one of those to happen, that's going to free us up some room. Now keep in mind, guys, that 69 level, right, you can see it right here, that 69 level is going to cause some trouble too. So we want to try to get this thing above the 68 half, but be careful because the 69 level is going to bring in another kind of chop zone ahead of us. If we can break above that 69, 69 and a quarter, 69.20, that again is going to free up some more space here as well. Okay, so just watch out for those big round numbers here in the crude, and you should be fine. All right, let's keep moving. Next up is the euro. Obviously, one of our favorite markets here is the euro. This is looking to be potentially a decent day tomorrow. As you can see, we've got a pretty steep wedge pattern to develop, but we've just now broken below it. So ideally here, right, we can play right now below this 4,700 level. Be careful around that big round number at 4,700. But if I can get below 4,700, break that trend line, continue the downside, well, that's going to show us a lot more opportunities here to the downside tomorrow. Just kind of have a gut feeling, though. We're probably going to see this thing bounce back up into this wedge pattern. Again, if we get back into the wedge pattern, remember, stay away from the fringes, and we're going to focus on taking these trades inside of this open area you see. But again, be careful of big round numbers, right? 4,800 right above you. But playing inside of this wedge, once we get above this 4770 level here, we can start seeing some trend continuation patterns back up into the 4,800 level. Be careful though, once we get above 4844, there's some room up there, but we've got that big trend line above and that big round number at 4,900. Now, if we happen to break above 4,900 today, or tomorrow, should I say, obviously be careful of that trend line, but once we get above there, it's all blue skies above. So be looking for some trend continuation patterns to the upside if we do see this thing continue with the upward trend here, but then break above that 4,900. That could definitely happen tomorrow, so be careful out there. But remember, stay away from the big round numbers, stay away from the fringes of the trend lines, and play the breakouts. All right, guys, that'll help you guys get through this low volume environment we're seeing right now. On the gold, very much the same thing. Okay, we have a sideways wedge at this point, and as you guys can see here, we can play on the inside here. Definitely can play from 16.8 right down to about 11 even. We can definitely play inside that from 16 down to 11. But want to get above 1021 to the upside here, or get below that 1,000 level. I'm sorry, that 1004, right, 1,004. But be careful, we've got that big round number of 1,000, so be careful about the 1,000 level there. That will provide a good level of support for you guys. So get above 1,000, below 104, 104 half. That's going to be obviously some good opportunities there. And then if we drop below 1,000, things get really nice. So if we drop below 1,000 tomorrow, definitely going to be looking for those breaker patterns short as this thing sells off. Most likely, though, we're going to see this thing inside this bracket or inside this wedge pattern. Be on the lookout for it to break above. I would say most likely it's going to break above. So wait for it to get above that 1021 half level there in the gold to start seeing increased volume and better opportunities. All right, there's our gold market. Let's keep moving. On the DAX, very similar. All right, here in the DAX, above, pretty much this 57.56, 57.55. Right, and above, obviously, getting above that trend line and getting above these weekly highs, that's going to give us the most room to breathe. Inside this wedge pattern here, though, obviously, 32 even, down to about 90 even, right? So 57.30 down to about 56.90. Pretty open spaces there, but keep an eye, obviously, tomorrow morning when you wake up, this thing may have chopped around a little bit. So if it has chopped around the center of it, stay away from the center of that 5,700 level. Okay, so be on the lookout for that consolidation around 5,700, big round number. But above that and below it, we can play inside this wedge. I would be on the lookout for this thing to drop, though. Below 56.65, as you can see, we got lots of green, some wide open spaces there below us. So below 65 even, again, break this trend line to the downside, then start selling off. Give it below that 65 level, and that's going to open up some definite, as you guys can see there, some good clean open spaces there for our stick trades. All right, I'd be looking for that to go to the downside, though, just the way it looks right here. All right, guys, once again, this is our market prep for tomorrow. I want to remind you guys, we open up tomorrow 2:45 for the European session, 7:45 a.m. for the U.S. session. And again, this has been your market prep brought to you by theschooloftrade.com. Joseph James, we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye for now.